Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A proclamation from the Holy Gospel according to St. John.
Glory to you, O Lord.
The sisters of Lazarus sent word to Jesus saying, Master, the one you love is ill. When Jesus heard this, he said, This illness will not end in death, but it is for the glory of God, that the Son of Man may be glorified through him. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that he was ill, he remained for 2 days in the place where he was. Then after this he said to his disciples, Let us go back to Judea. When Jesus arrived, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went to meet him. But Mary sat at home. Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you. Jesus said to her, Your brother will rise. Martha said, I know he will rise in the resurrection on the last day. And Jesus told her, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, even if he dies, will live. And whoever who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this? She said to him, Yes, Lord, I've come to believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, the one who is coming into the world. He became perturbed and deeply troubled and said, Where have you laid him? They said to him, Sir, come and see. And Jesus wept. So the Jews said, See how he loved him? But some of them said, Come, could not the one who opened the eyes of the blind man have done something so that this man would not have died? So Jesus, perturbed again, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay across it. Jesus said, Take away the stone. Martha, the dead man's sister, said to him, Lord, by now there's a stench. He has been dead for 4 days. Jesus said to her, Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God? So they took away the stone, and Jesus raised his hands and said, Father, I thank you for hearing me. I know that you always hear me, but because the crowd here, I have said this, that they may believe that you have sent me. And when he had said this, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out! The dead man came out, tied hand and foot with burial bands, and his face was wrapped in a cloth. So Jesus said to them, Untie him and let him go. Now many of the Jews who have come to Mary and seen what had been done began to believe in him. My dear brothers and sisters, my dear friends, the good news of our salvation.
Praise to the Lord Jesus Christ.
In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Good morning po, my dear friends. This is the 5th Sunday of Lent. And in the Gospel, you heard about the story of Lazarus raised by Jesus. This is a very unique Gospel because it's not a typical healing. Bulag, nakakita, pilay, nakalakad, may ketong, luminis ang balat, may makasalanan, napatawaran, may gutom, kumain. This time it's different. It is so different that it's so unique that it's not present in other Gospels, only in John. And something that caught my attention, that after every homily, we usually stand up and say, I believe in God, the Father Almighty. Huh? We proclaim God as all-powerful, almighty. And yet here is Jesus, the Son of God, weeping, crying. Jesus grieved for his friend Lazarus. Wow. This does not happen every day. Jesus was crucified. Jesus was condemned. Jesus carried the cross. Jesus was scourged, the pillar. And yet, he did not cry. No. He was able to bear those pain. But this time, only this time, you see Jesus weeping. And maybe I was just thinking, why did Jesus weep? Why did he grieve? For what reason? Maybe one reason could have been how he was approached by Martha. I just read the short form. There's a very long form. But I read the short form. And here, Martha approached Jesus. Anong sinabi ni Martha? Anong sinalubong sa kanya? Lord, if you had been here, my brother would have not died. Kung nandito ka lang, hindi namatay ang kapatid ko. Wala ka eh. Wala ka, late ka, patay na siya, ba't nandito ka pa? Parang, as if, Martha sounds like blaming him for the death of his brother. Kayo ba, nagpunta man na kayo sa wake? Pagdating mo sa wake, kung nandito ka lang, hindi namatay ang kapatid ko. Parang, kasalanan ko pa, kasalanan ko. In fact, if I read the long form, Mary, the other sister, also said the same lines. If you were here, Jesus, my brother did not die. Ang bigat nun, di ba? Ako siguro mapapayak din ako. Masasaktan din ako. Marami din pong meron dito. May meron. Mga tao yung nakikipaglamay. Hindi ko alam kung nakikipaglamay. Pero meron pa sila sinabi. Nasaktan din sigurado si Jesus dito. Sabi. He was able to make the blind see. And yet, he allowed his friend to die. Wow. Pati yung ibang tao, ganun lang sinasabi nila. Ang dami niyang milagrong ginawa. Itong kapatid niya, kaibigan niya, pinabayaan niyang namatay. I sometimes and most of the times hear this from people today. I could still hear the Martha, the Mary, and the people around Jesus, the same lines today being expressed, especially when they are in deep and difficult, strong emotional situations. I'll give you an example. Minsan po, meron siyang wife, na-aksidente ang kanyang husband, nakamotor. Umalis sa kasawa niya, maliit pa yung bata, baby nila. Umalis yung asawa, normal day, nagtrabaho, nakamotor, hindi siya umuwi, hindi siya kagad umuwi, only to realize na aksidente sa Olongapugapan Highway sa kanyang motor, natamaan sa may bandang Guagua and Santa Rita. And her husband died. That was a very tragic experience. Maybe one of the most painful experience. And when the wife approached me, Among, ba't pinabayaan ng Diyos ang asawa ko? Those questions, I cannot answer. I just kept quiet. I was just there. Even for God to answer that question must be also difficult. He can only answer it with tears. Di ba kung minsan may tanong sa'yo, hindi mo masasagot? Wala kang masagot, mapapayak ka na lang. Di ba tayo kung minsan din, pag mahirap yung sitwasyon, Lord, what do you mean by sending this problem to me? Parang kasalanan ng Diyos ang lahat. As if a loving God, and then if something happens, we always blame it to Him. Even you as a parent, in spite of your love to your children, because you give them freedom, you give them choices, you do your best for them. When something wrong happens to them, you will be the first person who will be experiencing pain. Ikaw unang masasaktan. In fact, sasabihin mo pa sa kalooban mo, sana ako na lang, Lord, hindi na siya, hindi na yung anak ko. Pero ang mahirap, pag may nagsabing, pinabayaan niya ang anak niya. Masakit na masakit po yun. Even when we say, Lord, why did you allow this to happen to me? I hope we see it from a level that God always instead intends what is good, what is beautiful to us. And even a parent, siguro, pag tinanong mo, peboren mo yung anak ko? Maybe you could simply say quietly in your heart, kung alam mo lang kung gaano ko kamahal ang anak ko. But my son, my daughter is free. If we continue, another experience of Jesus here that is unique in the gospel is that expression of His deep concern and friendship and love to Lazarus. Why did Jesus grieve? Why did He cry? I could answer it in another way also, other than the pain of being blamed. A God who is being blamed. Ang Diyos na ikaw ang may kasalanan. Parang ginagawa natin makasalanan ng Diyos. Kasalanan ng Diyos yan. Kasalanan ni Jesus. Yung ikalawa, umiyak din si Jesus because of His deep concern to His brother. I believe tears manifest the power of love. That the deeper the love, the deeper the pain. Kung minsan ang tao umiiyak dahil siya'y nagmamahal. Hindi naman po kamukha nung iyak na masakit yung ngipin, o iyak na masakit yung tiyan, o umiiyak dahil naipit yung kamay niya sa pintuan, o umiiyak siya, nanonood siya ng drama. Hindi yun eh. May iyak na dahil mayroon kang minamahal. And I believe the deeper the love, the deeper the pain. That our own tears are not expression of our own weakness. Kumisa kaya, pag umiyak yung tao, hey, umiyak, mahina klase, mahina siya, very weak. Huwag kang umiyak. Parang mahinang klase tayo. I believe tears are not expressions of weakness. No, never, never. Never. I would always respect a person who would cry. I would not stop her or him. I would just allow. But sometimes, pag may umiyak, hindi na tayo comfortable. We want to stop them. Allow them. Minsan po, meron akong binles na namatay. Meron taga Santa Rita pa naman dito. Yung namatay, taga Santa Rita, doktora. Very young pa yung doktora. Yung mga anak niya, college, high school, elementary. Yung bunsong anak niya, lalaki. At yung doktorang to, ang bait-bait niya. Hindi siya yumaman masyado. Kasi alam niyo kung style niya, yung pag may kumatok sa bahay nila, kahit naka-tricycle, madaling araw, sumasama siya. Kunyari, yung apo mo, nagko-convulsion. Tapos, madaling araw, sinundo mo siya. Sasama siya sa baryo. At hindi ka daw iiwan. Kunyari, kailangan mo yung dala sa ospital yung anak mo. Makasakay sa tricycle. Sasama sa public hospital hanggang pag nag-turnover na siya, doon pa lang siya uwi. This doctor is very loving. And when she died in a young age, maliit pa yung anak niya, isa lang ang lalaking anak niya. Yung dalawa, babae. Yung bunso, ang lalaki. Doon binibless ko na po, napansin ko, ang daming tao, they were very serious. Huh? Talagang you know how they love her. And then habang binibless ko po, umiiyak yung pamilya. Pati yung bunsong anak, umiiyak. Yung lalaki. Alam nyo naman po sa probinsya, Merong mga uncle na yung bapa-bapang kapitan-kapitan, kakapitan. Sabi nung bapa, hinahawakan niya yung kanyang nephew. Habang binibless ko, umiiyak yung, siguro 7 years old pa lang yun. Umiiyak, syempre, nanay niya yung binibless ko. Sabi nung uncle, narinig ko lang, on the side, Eka kikyak! Bala mo, kalalaki, kikyak. Ginaganon niya yung shoulder. Parang pinipigil, kikyak, bala mo, kalalaki. Nagbabasa po ako, tsaka gusto kong printer. Teme pa bro, kumiyak. What's wrong? It has nothing to do na lalaki o babae. Mother na hinumete. I mean, when you cry, it has nothing to do with gender. I'm sorry. It has nothing to do with your weakness or your strength. No, it has nothing to do with that. Because we're just thinking that it's about gender, it's about weakness or strength. No. Tears are human. And they are the deepest expressions of a soul loving. No words can express love that tears can express. There's tears of joy, Father, tears of joy. Okay. But there are also tears of love. I ask you a question. Sino na yung taong iniyakan mo? Wag mo nang tignan yung asawa mo, no? Hindi, sino na ang taong iniyakan mo? O sino sila? I ask you a second question. Nasagot nyo na? Sino yung taong iniyakan mo? Kaya Kapampangan, nino rin taong tengisan mo na? O tatangisan mo pang Second question. Di ba sila rin yung mahal mo? Di ba? Sila rin yung pinakamahal mo? The deeper the love, the deeper the tears. Hindi ka naman iyak sa tao hindi mo kilala. Hindi ka naman iyak sa tao wala kang pakialam. Kaya huwag kayong magalit sa nanay niyo pag umiyak para sa'yo. Gusto sabihin, mahal ka nila. Matakot ka pag wala na silang pakialam. Because that leads me to the last point. Masyadong mabigat ang topic natin, parang pang Holy Week na. What is the good news, Father? What is the good news? Anong mabuting balita naman dito? Anong mabuting balita? Ito po yung mabuting balita. When Jesus grieved, the tears of Jesus brought Lazarus back to life. The tears of Jesus brought Lazarus back to life. Ang nagbigay ng bagong buhay kay Lazaro, ang mismong luha ni Jesus. When there are tears, there is hope. When someone is crying, new life will emerge. I've witnessed this in many ways. Meron po kaming nakilala, actually kaibigan ng kilala ko, very successful career woman. Something like vice president na sa isang malaking bangko, international bangko. Dalaga pa siya. And she's very hardworking, very professional. Ang galing-galing. You know, I realize, unika iha. Unika iha. And then yung mother niya, yung mother niya, silang dalawa lang. Hindi siya lumaki with the father. Kaya very close siya sa mother niya. Sabi nung kaibigan ko, alam mo, Father, kung tatanungin mo siya, ba't naging successful? Babalikan niya yung namatay ang nanay niya. Kasi ang mother niya parang single woman, single mother. Nung may sakit na daw yung mother niya, a few days before her death, nangako daw siya sa nanay niya, umiiyak. Mama, huwag kang matakot. Huwag kang matakot. Huwag kang matakot. Kasi yung worry ng nanay niya, iiwanan niya itong anak niya. Siyempre, hindi naman itong sasan. Pero inassure ng daw ang nanay niya, Mami, huwag kang matakot. I will not forsake myself. I promise you. I promise you. I will finish college. I will be successful.
Don't be afraid, Mama. And then it was that daw, magkaroon ng peace of mind ng mother niya. And she was able to embrace the reality of her death. Yun yung kinukwento. Tatanungin mo daw yung babaeng yun, ba't ka naging successful? She goes back to that moment of her tears and actually brought new life, hope, and fulfillment in her life. When people still express their tears, there is hope in a relationship, in a family, in a future of even a society. Kaya pa maginiyakan ka, I'm sure something will be born out of that. Something good, that like Jesus cried for Lazarus, new life came to him. It is not the end. Tears are not the end. They push us to the next level of new life and hope, and even Easter joy. Minsan po, may isang writer, parang estudyante lang na Korean, South Korean student. Nag-aaral po siya sa UP. Gumawa po siya ng article. Nabasa po yung article niya at lumabas sa dyaryo. Ganda ng article. Sabi niya, in South Korea, after World War III, it was totally devastated. Na-flatten daw ang Korea. And for the Koreans to be able to bounce back, to recover, the German government daw adopted South Korea as a country for it to restart. Kinuha daw lahat ng mga lalaking walang trabaho, mga tatay, mga lolo, survivors of the war, nakipagtrabaho daw sa Germany, sa mga malalaking factories, metal factories ng Germany. At yung sweldo nila, pinapauwi sa South Korea for them to start anew from devastation. Kaya pala ngayon yung Hyundai, malalaking barko, malalaking equipments, it's born out of that relationship. That's why they could also produce metal in good metal in South Korea. And after some years, pumunta daw yung presidente ng South Korea to visit the workers in South Korea. Parang mga Pilipino na nasa abroad nagkikipagtrabaho. They are not there for themselves, but they're for their children and family. Yung daw mga South Korean na lalaki, isang malaking gymnasium, puno ng lalaking workers, no? Lalaking nagtatrabaho sa mga shipyards and auto factory. And then, nag-speech daw ang presidente. After the speech, may question and answer daw. Tumayo yung matandang Koreano. Talagang is already, talagang sagad na, mukhang sagad na yung katawan niya sa trabaho. He had this question. Sabi niya, Mr. President, can you tell us if our country is doing well? Wala pa pong telepono noon, masyado, tsaka cellphone. Tell us, is our country doing well? Is our country improving after the war? Can we go home na? Or do we stop to stay and work more? Tell us, President. Ba? Ang isang stadium daw na puro lalaki, umiyak sila lang. Mga lalaki yan. Like Jesus, lalaki si Jesus, no? May dala siyang krus, hindi siya umiyak. He was crucified, hindi siya umiyak. Ba? Doon umiyak siya. There must be so much love for their country, isn't it? And now you see them growing. Ganda ng article na yon. Pero bigla akong muntik na hulog sa upuan. Nung ending ng article, sabi nung Korean students, how about you, Filipinos? Do you cry for your country? Did you ever weep for your country? If you do, there is promise and hope for the Philippines. When people cry for society, for a family, for their church, there is hope. And I would like to end with Psalm 126. It is expressed in two ways. Sabi po ng Psalm 126, they sow in tears, will reap in joy. Can you read for me again? Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. And the second expression of Psalm, in Psalm 126, verse 6, sabi naman po, they weep as they go to plant their seed, but they sing as they return with their harvest. Can you read again? They weep as they go out to plant their seed, but sing as they return with their harvest. May God bless us all, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.